Hello, 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 hello again. Welcome all. This is Willie Cartwright with From Saved to Sane. I am here live today. This week, I would like to say hello to all of you out there who are joining us live and who may hear this at a later time. As I always say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the country or across the world listening to this. I certainly appreciate your support. We are here today, like we are every other week, to talk about things related to religion, in particular Christianity, and why we believe, and our belief is based on the research and information out there, that organized religion, Christianity, and organized religion is dying out, not only in the world, but specifically in this country as well. It may be happening to us a little slower than some other places, but it is indeed happening. And I believe for the most part, that is a good thing. Our people are wising up. When I say our people, I mean the people in this country, but specifically African Americans. We are late to the party, but we are arriving at the party of no religion or nuns or declaring our liberation from organized religion. We are coming, we are waking up, our eyes are opening. So I am glad to be in this space. One of the many people and a growing number of African Americans who are partaking in this space to talk to our people about organized religion, particularly Christianity, and why, at a minimum, we should be questioning our devoutness to it. Uh, and for many of us, we need to be embarking upon a journey of spiritual or religious discovery. And if it leads you away from organized religion, if it leads you away from Christianity, then so be it. But feel free to embark on that journey. Already got people here, so I appreciate it. Those of you, let me know that you can hear me. If you're out there, send a note, send a comment or remark. But I'm going to read the first three before I get started. Taisha, my buddy, she chimed in earlier about 30 minutes ago before I even got on. She said this is a many of our prayers being answered. Absolutely. 2020 to 2022 showed exactly how useless churches are. They are nothing more than receiving centers for Walmart's trash returns and expired non-perishables. I haven't even said the topic, but I guess we know what the topic is. Appreciate it, Taisha, and hope that you're still out there. I know while I'm here, while I just read a comment, let me again, as I always do, say absolutely thank you to Taisha for everything that she's done and what she continues to do. I know that she is out there. She's dealing with her child. She has some other stuff going on, but absolutely like to say hello to Taisha. Formally say hello to Taisha and her mister and the baby. Hope you all are doing well. Thank you for the comment. Sharon said, hello, Willie. I hope everything is good today. Tell your wife hello as well. I will be in and out, but I'll catch up in the chat. Absolutely, Sharon. Great to talk to you. Sharon, you are in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, my plan B in the rest of this year maybe a move out west, not Arizona, maybe Nevada, but we may be able to talk offline about that. But yeah, it's something we're looking at. We kind of need a change, but we're good for now. But we'll talk about that later. Jay Jamming, driving and listening. How you doing, Jay Jamming? Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Melanated Phenomenon, glad to have you as well. Good evening, all. Sharon said, yes, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, thank you, Sharon. We will talk. Yeah, we are looking at, to be specific, Henderson, Nevada, for a couple of reasons. But yeah, and that's sort of a plan B, nothing in concrete, but just something my wife and I have been kind of throwing around. But back to why we're here. Again, let me finish. Also, thank you to my wife Salima. Wonderful. the best woman I know, absolutely my better half without question. So thank you to my wife Salima for everything that she is doing and continues to do. Her support for me, her endless support, and so I certainly appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you. Amanda, glad to have you. Good evening. So as Taisha alluded to in her first comment, today's topic, and I'm gonna tell you how this came up as I always do. But today's topic is why are so many churches closing in this country, and is that a good thing? And whether or not that's a good thing or not. And again, this is open. Type your comments in the comment section, and we'll get to those. Tell me what you think. But what spurred this on, in part, those of you know that I'm in school working on a master's degree in religious studies, and so my research is focused on nuns. We talk about this all the time. Is on nuns. Nuns are individuals who are not affiliated with a particular denomination or church, or if given a questionnaire or survey and asked to indicate um, what denomination they are part of, with all the denominations listed, they will choose none of the above. So that's sort of the technical term for what a nun is. But part of that is why we're having this discussion about why the churches are closing, because we have so many nuns, people who are not affiliated with a denomination or a church, and therefore many of those people are no longer attending church. And some of those who are attending church and are still attending church have elected to do it online as opposed to going into a physical church for a variety of reasons. Some of that is still the effects of COVID, but we'll get into all that in just a second. Um, as Taisha will always tell me to do, let me plug my book. Those of you who have not picked up my book, is available on Amazon. From Saved to Sane: My Journey Away from Christianity and Why Christianity Has Been Detrimental to the African American Community. Willie O. Cartwright, that's the bottom. You can see my name there. Absolutely. So pick that up. It's a great read. It's an easy read. It's a quick read. So the church, and I'm going to read you an article in just a second, just to confirm or validate the things that I'm saying here, because we will have people that come on and say, well, where are you getting this information from? Are you sure this is happening? Yes, it is happening. So what spurred this on? My wife and I was watching a documentary a couple of weeks ago. It was sort of a tongue-in-cheek. These two guys sort of drive around the country and they visit churches of different denominations, churches that denominations that they don't have experience with or don't have a background with, and they go and visit these churches. Um, they came to Atlanta in one of the episodes that my wife and I watched, and they visited Creflo Dollar's church. And I've been to Creflo Dollar's church before, but it was several years ago. The main church, and I even went to. There's a satellite. He has a satellite church here, just north of Atlanta. For those of you who are not in the Atlanta area, he has a satellite church, or at least he used to. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I've visited both. Um, but what I noticed in this documentary, this particular episode, was that they were in Creflo's church, and the church, there were a lot of open seats. There were a lot of as I said, open seats. I had never, at all the times I've seen Creflo speaking on television, again, been to his church, I had never, I didn't see the number. I've never seen the number of open seats that I saw in this documentary. This documentary wasn't that old, maybe 3-4 years old. And so that made me start thinking again about why people are leaving the church, or if it's actually a thing. And so I dug up some of my research on the topic, and then I received an article that I want to read before we get into it. Let me just read some information from this article, and let me give you, as we say on the streets, the receipts. As we say in academia, let me give you the sources, the cited source. So this is from this is recently printed, but the article is actually a year old. It's back in January of 2023 by Adam Gabbett, U.S. News. The name of the article, let's see what, this is Sunday, the 22nd of January, 2023. Losing their religion, why U.S. churches are on the decline. And again, this is U.S. News. The Guardian actually shared this, but it's from U.S. News. So if you want to take a look at it and read it yourself, go to the Guardian U.S. News article from January 22nd, 2023. As the U.S. adjusts to an increasingly non-religious population, I'm going to read that again. As the U.S. adjusts to an increasingly non-religious population, thousands of churches are closing each year, probably accelerated by COVID. Churches, and that's the sort of the intro to the article. And the article goes on to say, churches are closing at a rapid number in the U.S., researchers say, as congregations dwindle across the country and a younger generation of Americans abandon Christianity. Again, as congregations dwindle across the country and a younger generation of Americans abandon Christianity altogether, even as faith continues to dominate American politics. As the U.S. adjusts to an increasingly non-religious population, thousands of churches, that's my my Dr. Umar impression, but thousands, because he always says everything three times to sort of emphasize it. But thousands of churches are closing each year in the country, a figure that experts believe may have accelerated since COVID-19, something that Taisha alluded to. We'll come back to her comments in a second. The situation means some hard decisions for pastors who have to decide when a dwindling congregation is no longer sustainable, but it has also created a bull market for those waiting to buy churches with former houses of worship now finding new life. So that would seem to be positive or in favor of new churches for those Christian apologists out there. However, the article goes on to say about 4,500 Protestant churches closed in 2019. The last year data is available, and about 3,000 new churches opened. For those of us who can count, that is a 1,500 church negative, which means the net is a 1,500 churches closed. That is the net 2019. According to Lifeway Research, it was the first time the number of churches in the U.S. hadn't grown since the evangelical firm started studying the topic. So this is important. It is the first time, according to this evangelical, so this is not a non-religious foundation or research group counting this. This is a religious evangelical research company that is doing this work or put this information out. It was the first time the number of churches in the U.S. hadn't grown since the evangelical firm started studying the topic. With the pandemic speeding up, a broader trend of Americans turning away from Christianity, researchers say the closure will only have accelerated. So that's what we're talking about today, is the churches, why our churches are closing. It's not a if they're closing, but it is, yes, they are closing. So why are so many churches closing? There's a couple of questions, but going back to Taisha's point, one thing that we do understand as researchers and people who are in this field, that COVID allowed people to be able to understand that they can worship if they still need to worship, that they can worship from their home via television or whatever, YouTube or whatever. They can watch live streams of services from the comfort of their home. Secondly, there were people who, because they could not go into a physical church, and for whatever the reason, they did not always Zoom into services, they found themselves not missing church on Sundays and throughout the week for that matter. And so once they got accustomed to not attending church or just attending online, they realized that it was not necessary for them to go into a physical church. Those who are still devout and caught services online realized that they did not have to go into the church to still be devout, still be saved, still be a follower of Jesus or Christians or whatever they want to call themselves. Other people figured out or found out that even if they didn't go to church, it had no effect on their life one way or the other. They didn't get more blessings, and they get less blessings. They didn't get a raise at work. They didn't get fired at work. It's absolutely no change whatsoever. And so some of these people started to do what we call the cost analysis, right? So I'm getting up every Sunday, I'm getting dressed, I'm in the traffic, I'm driving to church, I'm sitting there for 2, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, half a day, all day. I'm tired. I'm not able to do other things that I need to do for the weekend before Monday rolls around again and I have to go back to work. I'm paying tithes or offerings to this church, so forth and so on. And they realize that if I don't do this, and after a while of not doing this, they realize that their life hadn't changed, at least certainly hadn't changed for the worse. And in some cases, maybe it changed for the better. They got time back. They were able to do the things that they needed to do that they before couldn't do, previously couldn't do because they spent so much time in church. They were able to save money, whatever the advantage that they came up with. A lot of these people said, you know what? There's no need for me to go back into the church. Those of you who have comments, please put your comments in here. Tell me what you think about that. What we're talking about. Um, and so the question becomes, what happens now? And how far behind are African Americans? We are clearly not going to church in the same numbers that we once did. Every stat, every category, I mean, every number that you look at, um, nuns, again, those individuals who are not associated with church, are not affiliated with a church, or don't attend church, that number, that percentage of African Americans now has grown to over 30%. So 33, 34% of African Americans now don't attend church. That is huge. For the first time, and I said this, I think, in a previous presentation, uh, for the first time in the history of this country, fewer than 50% of people across the country uh, no longer attend church on a regular basis. That number at one time in this country had been as high as 90% of the people in this country attended church regularly. Now we're under 50%. And millennials and younger, millennials and Generation Z, and now we're into Generation A, those individuals are attending church a lot less. And not only are they, and so here's what it divides, and this is one of the debates that I have with my professors at times, it's, my African American professors. They wholeheartedly believe that although people are not going to church as much, they really believe that African Americans as a whole, as the collective, are still just as religious, just as devout, and still believe in God. And I tell them over and over again, and one of my professors is a millennial, and she swears that it's not people necessarily turn away from God, it's just people necessarily turn away from church or turn away from Christianity, but they still believe in God. And I am telling her that the younger generation, these individuals are not believing in God or any supernatural deity or whatsoever. We have a larger number of people, younger people especially, who are not believing in God or not believing in the supernatural. And one of the other things that my research talks about, this other professor and I, that we talk about, is that not only are the important thing is not necessarily are these individuals believing in God or still believing in God. What we're starting to realize and starting to do our research around is whether or not these individuals, whether or not God and church is becoming irrelevant to these people. Now that's extremely important because that's a different thing. And here's why it's different. Black people are adverse to the word atheist. We run from the word atheist. So you can ask almost any black person roughly, there's only 2 to 3% who openly admit that they are atheists, right? Uh, you you could ask any black person, not as I tell, do you believe in God? They're gonna say yes, just right off the bat. That's how we were raised. We think that's the right thing to do. But however, if you track these people for a month and watch their daily activity, it would be largely void of any actions that would make you think or believe that they believe in God. So what I mean by actions, they don't pray, they don't say grace over their food, they don't read the Bible, they don't talk about God, they don't talk about being blessed, all those type of things. More and more of those people, especially younger African Americans, are God and the church is becoming largely irrelevant to them. And that's a part of my study as I'm looking at some of these comments. Amanda says, we're decades behind. I love all the time I've gotten back. Absolutely, Amanda. As a person who loves football season is over. Um, but during school and when the football season, I was in school, I would get up Sunday mornings and I would study or do work for about 3 hours and I'll spend the rest of the afternoon watching football. And I loved having that time to myself. Now that we're in the spring and football is over, it's just an opportunity to rest, to relax, to catch up on things that you need to catch up on, maybe even to exercise more. My wife and I, we love to hike and walk and go out and be outside and be active. So we do that stuff as well. It just gives us more time to do that. So absolutely, I love having my time back, and I've never missed going to church on a Sunday. Not one day have I said, "Man, I wish I was in church this morning." Never. Um, Melanated said, "It's great that there are closing. That means that we are winning in the end. To the brainwashing, stupid is long past over." Yeah, it is, and it is the line of demarcation between, let's say, people in my generation, which would be Generation X, and let's say Generation Z, which in between those two generations are the millennials. It is such a sharp contrast between people in my generation who go to church on a regular basis. A lot of them still do, and then those individuals in Generation Z and younger who don't go to church. I mean, it's just kind of dropped off the. I mean, it just kind of dropped off the cliff. And so, what I'm glad to see, um, I am glad to see that a couple of things. I'm glad to see that people are thinking for themselves. And I'm glad to see that those individuals who have decided that church or organized religion is not for them, I am glad to see them living in their all, that they are authentic in the way that they're living, that they're not afraid to say, this is not for me, or there's something else for me, but it's not this. And they're living authentically like that, because I believe there were many, many more people, millennials, Generation X, and old, even some boomers, who were not believers, who were not devout, who didn't want to go to church, who were not believers. But because of the culture that they were in, because of the time that they were raised in, they did it. They were forced to do it. They did it. They felt guilty if they didn't. They was guilted into doing it, shamed into doing it. And so I'm happy to see those two things. Melanated said stupor, absolutely. Amanda, here's the thing. My secular job allows me to work from home with no problem. Why can't I worship from home, save gas, and not be rebuked? I thought Jesus loved me and wants the best for me. Amanda, that is an excellent point. And for those who are still devout and still go to church, but do it from home, uh, what is the difference? And I know the things that we're gonna that I'm gonna hear people say when they come on here later and leave comments, because again, I spent 40 plus years in the church, and so I understand. So we're going to hear comments like, well, it's hard to feel the spirit if you're at home, or you need to be around like minded people, or you need to be near the pastor. How are you going to get, you're going to get the feeling of the Holy Ghost and the Holy Spirit? You need to be in the church. You can't do it from home. Uh, at, the truth is that people tend to not pay tithes or offering if they're not in the physical church. And I think that's the one thing that the churches won't say. their pocketbooks are suffering. The offering is suffering, um, and so they miss out on that money. Also, it's a ego thing. They need to see the pews filled with people, with believers. It's amazing to me how Christians can believe, or people of any organized religious group, but those in particular Christians can believe that they're so right, but yet they need to convert and proselytize to everybody and tell everybody that they're right and have everybody convert and believe the same way that they do. If you believe that you're right, then just believe that you're right. Uh, and so because they do that, people like me do this. So whenever I'm asked as to, and I got a comment on one of my Facebook posts not too long ago from an old friend of mine who said, if you no longer believe you're not a Christian anymore, why is it that you always talk about it? And so we always have these conversations. I get these comments from people, the same comments, and I said to them, because you guys are out here, every Facebook post, every TikTok, Instagram, in person, back of your car, bumper stickers, television commercial, billboards, everywhere is always something about Jesus saves you, Jesus loves you, Christianity is the only way, so forth and so on. And so as long as people are doing that, then there need to be people like me that says, wait a minute, that's not necessarily for everyone. And we have a right to voice our displeasure with organized religion, Christianity, God, Jesus, whatever we want to, without being ostracized, just the way that you guys are free to voice your pleasure with religion, Christianity, God, Jesus. And so it goes both ways. And so that's why I do this. Also, we do this because um, the Christian culture, the religious culture in this country pretty much stipulates and mandates laws and norms that force all of us to follow. And so that's not fair and that's not right to those of us who are not believers, who are not Christians, or who are not whatever, but we still have to follow the laws that are in part based on religious and particularly Christian beliefs. And so until all of that is stopped, then there needs to be voices from the other side that are pushing back. And so that's why we do this. So like many of you, we are happy to see that the churches are closing. It is not for the fact that just the fact that the churches are closing, but it's what that symbolizes. So I'm into what it symbolizes. The churches can stay open all day, right? But if the people are not coming into the churches, which is why the churches are closing because people are not coming into the church, then that tells me that either that there's a portion of them that decided that I don't need to be at church and I can watch or get my religion from home in bed or whatever. And the reason why I have no problem with that, because I think that that is a stepping stone to eventually saying, you know what? Do I really need this church at all? Do I really need this religion at all? Do I really need this faith, this belief system at all? I really, truly, truly believe that it is a stepping stone. It is one of the things that I posit in my research is that the more nuns that we have, the more of those individuals that fall into the nun categories, eventually a larger percentage of those people will eventually become agnostic or atheist or have no belief whatsoever. And so we would turn eventually become a secular society, a secular country where we're not controlled and ran by a wannabe theocracy, because that's what's happening now. They're trying to have a theocracy. When I said them, I'm talking about evangelicals, conservative Christians. That's how they want to run this country. But we keep pushing back. So it's great. So again, the church is closing. That's one thing, but what it really means, and I'm glad to see African Americans are getting on board, and that they are finally saying, you know what, let me at least step back and take a look at what's going on. It's all right for me to question this religious thing, this Christianity thing. And so we're happy to see that. Again, as I said before, we're late to the party, but we are on our way. And so I'm very happy for that. Um, and so now that we've set the foundation, let me read a couple of these comments. Let's see. Where did we stop? Oh, Christine, what's going on? Glad to have you here. Appreciate it. Glad to have you. Before Christina, we had Kami. Hey, Kami, I don't know if this is your first time, but I appreciate you being here. And if it's not your first time, I apologize. Kami said, Black folks are growing up. Finally, right? Finally. We are, I think it's more so of us. And I think this is what has happened. Uh, Generation X, older Generation X, who end up having younger millennials, said that I'm not going to force my kids to spend 9 hours in a church on a Sunday, like I did, like I had to do. They said that I'm just not going to force my kids to do that. If they want to go to church and they can go to church, that's fine. I'm not going to force them necessarily to be a Christian. Although I do believe that most Black people will want their kids to believe in a God of some sort. But I think that a lot of those older Generation X parents said, I'm not going to force my millennial or younger millennial kids to go to church. And so those kids decided that they would not go to church, or at least not go to church as much as we did, which is freaking every Sunday all day, Wednesday night, sometime on Saturdays, and sometimes throughout the week as well. Um, and so what they did with their younger kids, younger Generation Zs and some A's, some Generation A's, they said, you know what? I really didn't miss anything. I don't really want to force this on my kids. And so now you have teenagers, early 20-year-olds who uh, have only been in church rare occasions, uh, don't really have not really been indoctrinated into this belief system, Jesus and God, who are um, um, apathetic to belief system, apathetic to God or Jesus, and to the point where, again, as I said before, believing in God and Jesus, going to church is largely irrelevant in their life. It plays no role in their life whatsoever. And so that's what we're seeing. And so you're going to get young Generation Zs, Generation A's, 10, 15, 20 years, when their kids are of age, their kids are not going to be going to church at all. And so in a couple of generations, 2 to 3 generations, you're really going to see a secular society. There will still be people who believe. There will still be people who go to church, but it would be nowhere near what we've seen in the past, and even what we see from today. If you don't believe that people are not going to church, then I challenge you on Sunday, wherever you live, anywhere between 10 and 12 o'clock Sunday morning, get out, go for a walk around your neighborhood. And those of you like me who are old enough to remember that between 10 and 1 or 10 and 2 on a Sunday, there would be no one outside. All of the cars would be gone because everybody would be in church. I get out now, and before my dog passed last year, we would walk all the time, and even on Sundays. So we would go out on Sundays and walk the dog, and we would see so many people out on Sunday mornings between 10 and 12 or 10 and 1, not dressed in church clothes, but just out walking the dog, washing the car, exercising, working out, running, jogging. Black people. I would walk through our neighborhood. We have a townhouse community where the people who park outside of the garage, a lot of people do. You would see the cars still in front of the garage. No one was at church. I can literally count the number of people in my townhouse community that I know, and I probably know 20, 25 of them really well. It's about 85 people here. But out of those 20, 25, I can tell you literally less than 5 that go to church regularly, that I can say, okay, it's Sunday. I know Chip would be at church, and I know the lady next door to me would be at church. But everybody else, nah, not at church. I'll see them out walking the dog. I'll see them out washing the car. I'll see them out talking to each other, having conversations. So yeah, so that's what's going on. And so wanted to bring it to our attention, wanted to have a discussion about that. But I don't want to just leave it at that. We know that people are not going to church. even black people now as much as they were before. We're coming on, but I also want to talk about. Do you think that black people or people in this country will turn back to the church? Um, now, there will always be a natural disaster or a terrorist attacks like 9/11 that will temporarily cause people to run back to the church, because that's if you guys old enough, you remember 9/11. uh the churches were filled to capacity all over the country for a while. I mean, it wasn't long, but for a while, you couldn't get into a church. And so, outside of those things happening, do you think that people are going to go back to the church? And if they are, what would be the reason? And for those of us in the African American community, understand that the church has played a vital role in our community. It has been the center of our community. It has been the meeting place. It has been the place in our community where we gather, where we talked about things, where we found our leaders. If the church is no longer going to be that space, if the church is no longer going to play an important role in our community, where do we go as African Americans for that social aspect, the gathering, the spending time with friends, looking for our civil rights leaders, or whatever we call them? What happens to our community if the church is no longer the center of the community as it has been for so many years? Even those churches who are out there really doing great things like feeding the hungry, or providing shelter, or providing clothes, or opening up their space so that kids can come in and play sports, or getting the kids off the streets. Computer literacy classes, job training. What happens if the church goes away? If the church is no longer what it used to be, what happens to the community? So, one of the things that I have to do as a researcher, as a scholar, is when I write about these things and when I talk about these things, I have to look at both sides. It is clear where I fall, but I am not naive, uh, in understanding that the church not being what it used to be will leave some holes in the community. And so part of my research is to ask first of all, to ask the question, how do we replace those things, and then figure out how to do that. And so that's the questions that I ask as well. Or do we need those things? Are we have we evolved beyond the point, past the point that we still need the church as a foundational piece of the community to sort of hold the community together? And I'm good with that as well. So those are questions that we ask as well. Any of you out there who have answers to those questions or any comments about that? Again, what will replace the church from a social standpoint, from a gathering standpoint? Even those of you who are not into the church, but um, may take your kids so they can socialize with other kids in the communities in a what we would used to consider a relatively safe space. In most cases, I think the church is still a safe space from the standpoint of violence. Uh, um, I would say relatively safe and safer than most other places. But all the things that the church did provide. So now I don't have a problem admitting that the churches, in a lot of cases, provided a lot of things for our community. I grew up in churches. I met some of my best friends in churches. I had great mentors in church. I found really solid black men that taught me a lot, influenced me a lot. I had a Sunday school teacher that is responsible, or partly responsible, for me getting into college. I had another pastor who was a teacher at my high school, who helped me through my speech impediment. I had a severe, severe stuttering problem. He helped me through that. And so I owe a lot to the church and people from the church. As a matter of fact, um, a gentleman who I think is one of the best human beings that I know, who's has also served as a mentor and actually married my wife and I, is a pastor. So I owe a lot to the church and people of the church. But that still doesn't stop me from being critical of the things that the negative things from the church and Christianity. And so I'm able to balance both. And we got some comments, and let me read some of the comments. Black and Bougie, what's going on? Glad to have you, Black and Bougie. Again, if this is your first time, and I don't think so, but I just want to make sure. If it is, thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. If it's not, then I apologize. I said good evening. I turned on the notifications and still didn't receive it. Good to be here. Just found you through Taisha. Well, appreciate it. Thank you for coming. Taisha, thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know what's going on with the notifications, but yeah, appreciate having you. And so you're welcome to bring a comment if you need to. So I certainly appreciate that. Amanda said, rest, work on personal growth, take up a hobby, spend more time with family, make sure your children can read and write in cursive. We just hold on, Amanda. Let me finish. Take up a hobby, volunteer at a shelter. So, really funny story, Amanda. I am actually older than all of my professors at Georgia State, but a couple of them are close to my age. And one of them is a very, very prolific writer, um, very prominent professor in the religious studies department, not just at Georgia State, but across the country. So she's well known. And so she's written her, I think this is her third book. And so we're reading parts of her book. We're reading excerpts from her book. And so we all went to buy a book, us being the students. And the students asked her to sign it, and so she's a Generation X. I think she's a young Generation X, but she signed and wrote stuff in cursive. And one of the students came to me and asked me if I could read the cursive for them because they couldn't read the cursive. And this one particular student was in her 30s, but there are other students in their 20s, and they can't read cursive, and I forgot that so I had to translate for her. And so the professor and myself, we were talking about it later on, and she said, I forgot that these students can't read cursive. And we just laughed about it. But yeah, so Amanda's comments were in response to the comments I made about what do we do to fill the gap that the church will no longer hold in our community. And so she's given us some suggestions, which includes teaching your kids how to write in cursive, learn a hobby, work out, exercise, volunteer at a shelter, create create a space for people of the community to come to that is not religious based, so they can still have that camaraderie, that social outlet, that gathering of people in the community. So yeah, absolutely. Um, Commissioner Fox, I think I was calling you K Fox before. So K Fox, we can meet at and comments and comments. I got to go up a little bit. Let me go up before I read. Make sure I get your comment. Yeah, so K Fox said we can meet at the black-owned coffee shop where we won't be hit upside the head with religious nonsense. Hey, sign me up. I'm there. I am there. Or we can find a black bookstore or something like that and meet at. Absolutely. Um, let's see, Black and Bougie again and finding atheists who look like me is so refreshing. It was one of the earliest issues that I had, Black and Bougie. And matter of fact, Taisha and I talk about that. She said that when she embarked on her journey, it was difficult for her to find people, and she ran across my channel. I think I had just started because I denounced Christianity and left in 2015. But I started this channel maybe 2 years ago, and I wrote my book about 3 or 4 years ago now. But yeah, I was now I'm in Georgia. I'm in the Bible Belt, even though at that time I was in the suburbs of Atlanta. And any of you who know about Atlanta, the city of Atlanta is a completely different animal than the suburbs of Atlanta. It is completely different. It is literally like night and day. And so I lived in the suburbs where everybody, regardless of their race, look alike, act alike. Husband and wife, man and woman, 2.5 kids, a dog, a house, and they all go to church every Sunday, all day Sunday. Everybody. I don't care if they were Asian, Hispanic, black, white. The only thing that was different was their skin color. They were a very homogenized people in the suburbs, right? And then I moved close to the city about 7 years ago now, and it is completely different, and I love it. So yeah, um, so we can do that. So yeah, it was always difficult, but there are spaces here. I'm not the only person that's doing this. I'm not the only African American person that's doing this, and we're trying to get more people to come out and be open about their non-belief or the fact that they are on a journey. And even if even if they still hold beliefs in the supernatural or something outside of them, that's fine. It's fine as well. Even if they're just questioning their Christianity, all is welcome. We just want people who are free thinkers, right? Um, and so stay chill. What's going on? Stay chill. You should look for those things from your community and family. Absolutely, absolutely. But but stay chill. Here's the thing. Many of us African Americans who our family are still heavily invested in the church. Our community members are still heavily invested in the church, many of us. And so, back to Black and Bougie's comments, we have to try to find like minded people like us. And if you're in a predominantly Black community, it is still difficult. It is not as difficult as it was maybe a generation ago, but it is still difficult. It is not as easy. But I certainly encourage us to try to do that. Um, who is this? Wow is shit. Wow. Let's see. You said because they are apostate churches and most Christians aren't real Christians. That's why. I'll be right back. I'll be right back to you in just a second. Amanda says, see, wow, again said, real Christians will tell the truth and be hated for it, just as Christ did before they murdered him. Wow also said, I tell the truth, and I am met with the Antichrist spirit of so called Christians all the time. It's just the same as in Christ's time on earth. So let me stop there. So while couple of things. What is a real Christian? Number one. And number two, how are you or anyone else able to say what a real Christian is? And so when I encounter people who make comment statements like you just made, what I said to those individuals is the only difference between you and a person that you would consider a not a real Christian who may call themselves a Christian is that according to your beliefs in your Bible, you guys are sinning differently. Uh, uh, that's it. So when I was a Christian, I couldn't tell another person who said that they were a Christian that they were not a Christian. There are objective, tangible things that you need to do in order to be a Christian, and it has nothing to do with how you act or what you say. My understanding of being a Christian, all it takes is a belief that Jesus is your Savior, prayer for forgiveness, and being baptized. Period. And so if I see someone and that person says, I believe Jesus to be my Savior, I've asked for forgiveness, and I've been baptized, then according to what I understand from Christianity, they are saved and they are a Christian. Now they could be out here killing, stealing, raping, doing whatever they want to, but they'll still be a Christian. And so people like Wow, what they want to do is separate themselves from those individuals whose actions they deem to be harmful in representing what Christians are supposed to look like. Um, and so that will be, and so my next comment to you, Wow, was do you have proof of the divinity of this character named Jesus? Since you are such a strong believer or a Christian, do you have proof of the divinity of this entity of this character called Jesus? Not the fact that a person may have walked the face of the earth, a human being that fits the description of a human Jesus, but the divinity, the God creature, the Son of God, the character, the character that is in heaven, the divinity character. So let me know that. Uh, And so, where did I stop? Amanda said, I joined a bowling league and started traveling more. I'm actually packing right now. Where you going, Amanda? I'm just curious. I'm getting ready to take some trips this summer. But I used to bowl. I think bowling is a good thing. And I know a lot of black people that bowl. My mother, who was, by the way, was a minister before she died, she bowled all her adult life. It was when, as a matter of fact, when my sister's kids became grown, when her grandkids became grown, when she could no longer physically bowl because of sicknesses, um, and when her church uh, organization that she was a part of, this larger body of church, would not allow her to preach, she lost her will to live. She was, stricken with illnesses, but because she had something to get up for every day, it kept her alive. But when she lost those three things, those were the three most important things to her. When her grandkids became grown and no longer wanted to hang around her as much, when she could not physically bowl anymore, and when the church said, "Well, we're not going to allow you to preach at certain churches," she lost her will to live. And so yeah, bowling. I think bowling is a great thing, and that just came to my mind with that. Wild said the same Antichrist spirit is here and working within all those that fell for all the lies of Satan, who is the God of the world. As far as I'm concerned, while neither God or Satan is real, at least the Abrahamic God is not real, and Satan is not real. It's amazing how only believers or Christians have to deal with Satan. I've never had a problem with the devil in my life, even when I was a Christian. Certainly not since I have not been a Christian. I don't have issues with Satan or the devil, because, like God, they don't exist. He don't exist. It doesn't exist. So thank you for that. Stay Chill said that's why we pay taxes. Those services should be provided by community centers. Before and after school programs should be available in all communities. 100% agree with you, Stay Chill. I 100% agree with you. Absolutely. Jay Jam said, I think churches could continue to exist if the truth of esoteric teachings within the Bible would be taught. Um, Jay Jam, give me more on that, because I'm not opposed to that um, if the church is teaching general things about how we should treat each other, how we should take care of ourselves, and things like that. I get I have an issue when it becomes um, this God or Jesus entity, deity is real, and we all should be worshiping Him. And the Earth is only 6,000 years old, and creation story, all that kind of stuff. That's when I have a problem. Black Ether says white boy on a stick. Oh, it took me a minute to get what you're saying. Okay. I was about to say, I don't know, but okay. Okay. I like that. All right. Amanda said New Orleans for the HBCU late. Oh, cool. You know someone that's playing in that game. You have a relative that's playing in that game. Hopefully, some of those kids get an opportunity to play in the NFL. At least get picked up and get seen. My favorite team picked up a FAMU player last year. I'm not sure if he played in the Legacy Bowl, but well, actually 2 years ago, and he actually started last year. So he went to FAM, what I call the other A&M, because I'm a graduate of Alabama A&M. But FAMU, I call the other A&M. So hopefully, yeah. So that should be a good trip. The weather should be cool. That's New Orleans. It's always pretty decent weather. Not a fan of New Orleans outside of the food, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, that should be great. Awesome. J. Jabba said many of the so-called believers simply don't know the Bible is allegory that is not being correctly explained. I can go with the allegory part, and I can go with it depends on the explaining. Yeah, so I'm good with that. I'm good with that, Jay. K. Fox said the idea of is to keep us colonized and stuck between the pages of that dead book. I'm gonna come back to that. And then the idea is to keep our minds colonized and stuck between the pages of that. Okay, same thing. Yeah, absolutely. Here's what I said, and I need to uh, trademark this. I don't know if I was the first person to say this, but I've been saying it for a long time, and I even write it in my book. Christianity is the religious arm of white supremacy. The way it has been used, uh, the way uh, the way we as African Americans nowadays, the way we interpret it, and the way we live our life through it. Understand this: every other ethnicity group, nationality, race of people, every other group outside of African Americans, and Africans for that matter, every other group lives through the prism of self-preservation. If you look at their actions, it's all about preservation of themselves, their family, their kind, their culture. Except us. We live through the prism of our interpretation of biblical scripture. And so, what I mean by that, so that makes us docile, that makes us too forgiving, always wanting to forgive. That makes us overly welcoming to those individuals who don't look like us, who may want to do us harm. Um, and that makes us extremely vulnerable and easily to be taken advantage of. If you look at our communities, we are so welcoming to people outside of our communities. They come here, they set up shop, and they make millions of dollars. You know why? Because African Americans believe that we should love everybody and that we should be open because our interpretation of the Bible. You go to their neighborhoods, you will not be able to set up shop or open a business in their neighborhood. They will run you out and still go to church on Sundays because they understand the importance of self-preservation. They are not going to buy from you when someone in their family or someone who looks like them is selling the same thing. We don't care. We will go to someone that don't look like us that is selling the same service or product that someone who looks like us, even someone in our family, we will go to someone else who don't look like us and pay more for that same service and product. We are overly forgiving. We forgive. Like, when was the last time you saw an African American person on trial for killing someone white and a white family come out and say, well, we forgive him? No. What they say is that justice is due and this person should pay the price. We will forgive that. Our family members will come out after Jamal has been killed. His mother, his sister, his aunt, his grandparents will come out and immediately say, I forgive Mr. Charlie. I don't listen. I don't forgive. You do something to mine or me, ain't no forgiving. I don't forgive you, and I'm not. And it's not going to cause me extra stress, and I'm not going to have a heart attack. And I just don't forgive you. I don't operate like that. I don't operate like that. Uh, um, uh, uh, Being open and accepting and forgiving of your enemies is not natural. It is not natural to be forgiving and loving and open to those who are trying to destroy you. That is not natural. This is something that this religion has done to us. It is something that it has done to us, and it's other things too. I mean, it's given us a low self-esteem. We have this conscious and subconscious reverence for white that I talk about all the time. Some of us is conscious. Some of us we're aware of it. Some of us it is unconscious because everything that we've seen has been white is right, white is best, white is perfect, and it's been drilled into us. And now it is a subconscious reaction to when we see white. We want to be white. We want to impress white. We want the approval of white. And this is not, I'm not being racist. I'm telling you the reality of what it is. And I don't have a problem with them looking out for them because we should be looking out for us. If we can build us up, then we are in a better position to then work with them. But we're always going to be they're always going to be able to take advantage of us because we're not looking out for us first, taking care of us first. Let me get into some of these comments because y'all have got me off on the soapbox. Um, let's see, where do we? Let me go up a little bit. Where are we? Where did I stop? K Fox, the idea to keep our minds. Oh yeah. Oh, Dave, what's going on? Dave's a friend of mine. David, what's going on, brother? He said absolutely. David said never. Glad to have you, bro. Appreciate it. Tell the wife I said what's up. Black Ethan said, teach, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Stay chill. We're forgiving to others as the pastor, but not to our own members. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. We're not as forgiving to us as we are to others. And that's that unconscious reverence for white. We want their approval. And so K Fox said, until we can put the book down and can live without it, we have not truly mentally broken free. My position with the Bible is I can take it or leave it. I mostly leave it. I don't read the Bible anymore. The Bible has, see, here's the thing. All of the so-called good things in the Bible, it's not original to the Bible. So I can find this stuff in other places. If I want to talk about how to treat other people well, I can find that. If I want to talk about how to take care of my body, how to eat well or whatever, there are millions, literally millions of other books that predate the Bible that tell me about all of those things. And so all of the bad things, the negative things, I don't need to read that stuff anyway. Because the Bible is full of a lot of bad things, negative things, harmful things, atrocities. And so I don't need that anyway. So I don't need to read the Bible. Amanda said, my alma mater, NCCU Eagles. We had the number one quarterback, HBCU football, Davius Richards, Mookie Collier, running back, Brandon, okay, punt returner, and our kicker all receive invitations. Awesome. Those of you who just got on, we were kind of on a tangent talking about the HBCU Legacy Bowl, which is a football game that showcases HBCU players for the NFL draft. Sort of the short version of it. So we was having a conversation. Amanda's going, and so kudos to her. Again, I hope a lot of those young men get opportunity to live their dreams. Jay Jammon said, I agree with you regarding the link of white supremacy. That was the purpose of those council meetings at the Catholic Church that started this mess. The Nicene Council and all the other ones. That's what Jay Jammon is referring to, I think. Stay chill. We will forgive a new member in the church that just did 15 years in prison, but their child took $5 from them and they'll disown them. Absolutely. David said, she said hello. She's listening. Oh, okay. Cool. Glad to have her. Christine said, teach, stop forgiving white people and make them produce justice, balance between people, no mistreatment of anyone, and help those who need help. 100%, Christine. That is all I'm saying. You said that more succinctly than I said it, because I probably came off. People are gonna listen to this and think that I'm racist and that I hate white people. The good thing about me is that I'm always the same person, and so I have a large circle of friends who are in every denomination. I mean, every denomination too, but every nationality, every ethnicity, and they know me for me. I don't hide who I am. I don't hide my comments. I don't hide my podcast. I don't have my comments on social media. And they appreciate who I am because they know who I am. So I'm good with that. And if they don't, hey, I'm good with that too. Don't bother me at all. Life goes on. So absolutely. But we have to get into a position where we can demand that we're treated equally, right? We can't continue to act like we're subservient and then expect someone to treat us equally and fairly. So we have to do our part as well. Uh, Davidson, she says hello. Okay, appreciate it. Black and Boo just said Christine. Yes, absolutely. She was right on. Amanda, these last two comments, and it's already after 7. Okay, last two comments, and then we're gonna get out of here. Amanda said, "OMG, they were dragging me on YouTube because JSU had a Hispanic lead drum major who was honored at GM America. I asked why weren't the black drum majors honored and stated that only AAs should hold." Yeah, that is. This is sort of a tangent, but it's sort of indirectly related. Um, I understand what's going on with HBCUs now. Non-African American students, non-people of color are now viewed as minorities at these HBCUs. So they are going there, they're getting scholarships, but they are also realizing that the education that they get from HBCUs is not is in line with education that they'll get at a lot of what we call PWIs, predominantly white institutions. Our institutions are not inferior. the quality that we get is not inferior to a PWI. What we did get were professors who cared about us outside of being a number. As one of my professors and I talk about, and she went to a HBCU for undergrad, and then she went to she has like 6 or 7 degrees. But I've been to a PWI for my first master's, and so I understand. But what we talk about is that a professor at an HBCU will give you the grade that you made, whether it be a D or F or whatever. But then they would talk to you about why you made that F and that D and how you can be better. And if you need to take that class again, they will allow you to take that class again. And so that's what we got. And so a lot of these non people of color are realizing the the beauty of HBCUs, the value of HBCUs. And so for that, I don't have an issue with that. But there are some things that I see. Let me just say like that. There are some things that I see that kind of rub me the wrong way, and I'll just kind of leave that at that. Maybe that's a subject that we'll take up later. Um, let's see. Where are we? St. Chill said, I can't read the Bible no more either, but encourage others to read it. Christine said, not all white people are racist. Absolutely. Not I would never say that. Not even close. I think the vast majority I think there is a racist system, and I think that there are enough racist white people to keep the system going. And I think that there are enough white people who are apathetic to the system and to racist white people because they benefit. And then I think there's also a group of white people who are not racist at all, don't want to benefit from the system, and is doing everything in their power to help destroy the system. And so I think you have all of that in there. And so I believe that. You said not all people are racist, but all people who practice racism are white people. I'm with you on that. Absolutely. Number two, the spot as lead drum major of an HBCU band because it was the other way. We would not be leading their bands, and black HBCU grads called me racist. Uh, yeah, I don't. Have I ever seen a? I'm sure there's been a black drum major and a PWI. Has to be right. Got to be. Uh, Somebody please tell me that I'm right. But yeah, it would be difficult. Yeah, Amanda, I do have some issues with what I see sometimes, but I wasn't a band guy person at all. I was a troublemaker in college. So yeah, but no, but again, let me close with this. I appreciate all of you for coming on. It has been Neo X. What's going on? Uh, I'm glad you got in. It's at the very end, y'all. Neo, listen. I'll tell you all the time. Support Taisha and support this sister here, Neo X. Neo is doing some great things in her space along the lines of what I'm doing here. So please support Neo. I had a long time. I had a text message conversation with Neo, who I hadn't talked to in a while, and I was thinking about Neo the other day. And out of the blue, she hit me like, "This is my new number." Blah blah blah. So Neo is a good friend of mine. I always have Neo's back. I've been on Neo's show, and so please support Neo and support Taisha and her channels as well. And tell your friends about all of us. Like and subscribe to us here. I'm gonna say thank you to all of you for joining me. Appreciate the conversation while you're out and about. Take notice of what's going on in the universe. Take notice of what's going on with the churches are not being as filled anymore. People are leaving the churches. Churches are closing. Ask yourself why. If those of you who are embarked on a journey, those of you who are non-believers anymore, become vocal about it. Let people know. They ask you, talk about it, because the other side do the same thing, more so than what we do. So I'm very vocal about my disbelief and my non-belief, and I welcome the conversations. I welcome the dialogue, and we go. Last two comments, then I gotta go. Jay Jamson, thanks for another great show. The show was great because of all of you. I appreciate it. Neo say hit the like button. Thank you, Neo, so much. Amanda say hit the like button. Appreciate it. K Fox said another problem I have with religion is that it has sitting around waiting for prophecies to be fulfilled. There are a lot of evils of men that we can stop, but won't because of prophecy. We're gonna do a show, K Fox. That'll be a great show. We're gonna do a show on these so-called prophecies, whether they've been filled or have not been filled, or as you are saying, or as you are alluding to here, um, some of these prophecies are self-fulfilling because a certain segment of people understand or believe that certain things have to happen in order for the second coming. So they are creating the environment for these things to happen, and these things are harmful to us. So these are self-fulfilling prophecies that people are trying to do. And so we need to have a show about that. Absolutely. Uh I got you, Neo. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I got you. Amanda said the church are only packed for funerals now. Yep, and that's a good thing. We don't people don't need to be going to church on Sunday morning. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. Now I'm gonna get crucified, but I welcome it all. I ask all to come. So listen, have a great weekend. I will see all of you in 2 weeks. Tell a friend about it. I appreciate the new people that came on was here for the first time. I appreciate it. I certainly appreciate it. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, have all of them come and join us here on the show. See you in 2 weeks. Take care and stay safe.